Today's session will be delivered by Brother Ataul Wahid Lahaye, a research scholar and a documentary producer. His topic is creation, evolution, and intelligent design. Brother Ataul Wahid Lahaye.
Mr. Chairman, my fellow speakers, and my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful, we covered this topic in 6 hours through Sunday school last year, so I'm going to try and condense it into 30 minutes. So please bear with me. Christian scholars who deny evolution at all levels and believe in what they call spontaneity are known as creationists. They basically believe that all life on the planet we see today was produced in an instant, about 6,000 years ago, and previous to this there was no life. This is certainly not the Quranic concept of creation. The following verse from Surah Al-Inshiqaq addresses humans, promises them that theirs is a continuous journey of moving on from one stage to another stage. And I quote, that you shall assuredly pass on from one stage to another. Chapter 84, verse 20. I have a slideshow to go with this, but I don't see it up there. Sorry. Thank you. This leaves no doubt whatsoever as to the fact that the Quran speaks of creation only in a step-by-step progressive stages which are well provided for, categorically rejecting the concept of spontaneous generation or life disappearing 6,000 years ago. Now, the term evolution originally meant, and they teach this in high school, change through time. However, the definition is in constant flux or changing all the time. We also have added to it descent through common ancestry, natural selection, survival of the fittest, random effects like genetic drift, change of gene frequencies in populations, and chance have all been added since Darwin coined this concept over 100 years ago. Now, also, there are two concepts of evolution. There is macroevolution and microevolution. Microevolution is slight, short-term evolutionary changes within species. Different colors eyes, different color hair, different colored skin. In contrast, macroevolution is the origin and diversification of higher life forms, or evolutionary changes on a grand scale encompassing the origin of new species. Now, E. Mayer, in a book called The Growth of Biological Thought, thinks a broader definition of evolution is needed. So again, we have more definitions of evolution being created all the time. He says his definition should include both microevolution and macroevolution, including both the multiplication of species and diversification within species. Now, Charles Darwin, in his book, I'll quote Charles Darwin, in The Origin of Species, presented a challenge, a very interesting challenge, and he said, if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down, and today we're going to break down his theory. With this statement, Charles Darwin provided a method by which his theory of evolution could be tested. The logic was simple. Since evolution is a gradual process in which slight changes produce advantages for survival, it cannot produce complex structures in a short amount of time. It's a step-by-step process which may gradually build up and modify complex structures, but it cannot produce them suddenly. Now we move on to the question, why did life pursue a definite evolutionary course in a single direction as though no other course was available? And that course led to us. The only explanation offered by scientists relates to the role of natural selection. Though they fully recognize the dimension and the gravity of the problem, they would have us believe that at every crucial point of decision-making, it was natural selection which took the decision, always making the right choice out of countless number of available options. However blind it may be, natural selection would always go for the right choice, and only the fittest would survive in a competitive world. But this choice, on the part of natural selection, they agree, is not conscious. The Holy Quran presents a different perspective on this issue, and I quote chapter 28, verse 69. And thy Lord creates whatever he pleases, and he chooses or selects whatsoever he pleases. It is not for them to choose. Glorified be Allah, and far is he above all that they associate with him. So according to Islam, there is an all-embracing plan of creation. At different stages of evolution, the processes that govern and shape life were different, but their direction always remained the same, always pointing to man. Again, God informs us in the Holy Quran, "What is the matter with you, that you expect not wisdom and steadfastness from Allah, while he has created you in different forms and ever-changing states?" Chapter 71, verses 14 and 15. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the purpose and philosophy of evolution is doubtlessly the creation and promotion of the five senses. The creation of the five senses, each of which in itself is a masterpiece of creative wonders, stands witness to a well-executed design at the grandest scale where harmony rules supreme. No wonder then that the Holy Quran repeatedly sums up the outcome of evolution in just three simple terms: the creation and perfection of the faculty of hearing, seeing, and understanding. And Allah brought you forth from the wombs of your mothers while you knew nothing, and gave you ears and eyes and hearts, that you may be grateful. Chapter 16, verse 79. Now we have to remember that Darwin did not believe in God, and he had to formulate a theory removing God from any role in the creation and development of life. Since no designer is claimed in evolutionary theory, there is no need for independent evidence of one. Most scientists agree with Darwin. However, even the most fanatic scientists admit that there is much more to this subject than they dare to explore. For an example, Richard Dawkins, who Khalifatu Masih Rabbi talks about in his book Rationality and Revelation, states in The Blind Watchmaker, "Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose." And F. Crick, in his book What Mad Pursuit, and Professor Crick discovered the structure of DNA, says, biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. Now, in the meaning of evolution, George Gaylord Simpson repeats what is surely the official dogma of the contemporary scientific guild. Man is the result of a purposeless and natural process that did not have him in mind. Others extend Darwin's theory to include the origin of life and the creation of the universe itself. Yet some scientists are a little more open-minded. P. Johnson, in his book Darwin on Trial, writes, "Biological evolution is just one major part of a grand naturalistic project, which seeks to explain the origins of everything from the Big Bang to the present, without allowing the role of any creator. If Darwinists are to keep the creator out of the picture, they have to provide a naturalistic explanation for the origin of life." So Darwin, with help from intellectuals such as Marx and Freud, we were left with a view of humans as mere animals or machines who inhabit a universe ruled by chance and whose behavior and thoughts are determined by the immutable and impersonal forces of nature and the environment. This materialistic interpretation of reality slowly has permeated every area of our culture,